I'll offer that motion.
Support.
All in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, first up is our Wilson Good News presentation.
Hey guys, follow me. This looks a little different than what I was expecting. Are you sure this is the rainforest? I don't think it's the next rainforest, but it seems to be pretty close. Wait a minute, I think we're at Wilson's school. They have been using the rainforest as a theme this year. No wonder why we were confused. Let's stick around and share some of the cool things that have been happening at the school this year.
Welcome to Wilson Community School. We would like to thank you for your commitment and support to Alpena Public Schools. Tonight, we will be sharing how amazing the Wilson staff has stepped into the rainforest this year, using it as the basis for some exciting events and wonderful learning opportunities throughout the 2022-23 school year. To start off, I would like to share some of the fun philanthropy projects led by our first-year student council members. One of the goals of the Student Council was to find ways to give back to their school and to the local community. Many Student Council members volunteered in lower elementary classrooms during their recess time, building relationships with our younger students and supporting their learning by reading and playing learning games with small groups and individual students. One of this year's Student Council highlights was in December, we did the Cereal Box Road Domino Challenge, and students helped Wilson School give to the community 347 boxes of cereal. We were also able to start our own food pantry sitting right here in Wilson today. Another one of the projects we did was during March and Reading Month, we did the Kids Heart Challenge, where our students learned hands-only CPR and they learned signs of a stroke. Through this, we raised $2,457 for the American Heart Association. And from that, we were able to get $260 worth of PE equipment for our school. These are just a few examples of the many ways Wilson School and the extra support of our student leaders gives back to the school community.
Hi, I'm Stella and I have some rainforest jokes for you. What do you call a snake that bakes? A python.
Hi, I'm Christine Cosbett, the Title I interventionist. This year we have utilized our rainforest theme to track students' Imagine Math lessons past and encourage students to continue moving forward as mathematicians as they passed lessons and moved through the rainforest. As students progressed through the rainforest layers of our hallway display, they chose new rainforest animals, adding a special gem to their animal for each lesson passed. Students were recognized for their mathematical perseverance and earned rewards like additional gym time or outside time to keep their bodies and brains active. Now here is our third grader, Lillian Doobie, with some impressive Imagine Math facts about Wilson kids.
At Alpena Public Schools, students have a goal to pass 30 lessons during the school year. Wilson's kindergarten, first grade, and second grade students are averaging 28 lessons passed. We are confident that they can meet the end of the year school goal. Third through fifth grade students combined have passed 6,737 lessons this year. Wow. Now Alan, a Wilson first grader and future auctioneer, following in the footsteps of his brother and father, will creatively share with you how many lessons one of our third grade students has passed.
100, 100, 100, 100, 200, 200, 200, 200, 300, 300, 300, 400, 400, 400, 500, 500. So to the lady in second row, she's 8, she's 9, she's 10, I know, through the lip, blonde hair and blue eyes. I'm about to bid my heart goodbye.
Me again. What do you call a sleepy rainforest? The pajamathon.
Hello, my name is Brandy Gapsky, and I am the instructional coach at Wilson and Sanborn. And this year, we celebrated March's Reading Month by reading through the rainforest. Here are some of the exciting learning activities that took place in our building. Students ruled the rainforest by reading 16 different rainforest-themed books and voting for their favorites in a Sweet 16 style bracket. When we got to the end, the authors of the top 2 books actually responded to our school and one sent a video and one sent an email to the students thanking them for their love of reading and especially their love of their books. Our amazing pack sponsored Melly Pop, who is a professional puppeteer who came to Wilson School and did 2 puppet shows, which the kids absolutely loved. She also spent 2 days with us doing puppet making workshops. So each class was able to spend an hour in a puppet making workshop. Everyone made their own puppets and then practiced story retelling with their puppets. And then to incorporate our families into our school, we held a Rainforest Expo family night. And during March's Reading Month, each student was encouraged to do a family project. And then they brought it back to school at the end of March, and we had an expo where all the family members could come and check out all of the different family projects. And the kids were even stationed beside their projects so that family members and other members of the community that came to the event could ask them questions. So how did you make it? What did you learn? Why did you choose this? So tonight we have several students who have agreed to share their projects to show off just how amazing we are here at Wilson. So all of the 4th and 5th grade students were asked to create dioramas of a rainforest habitat.
My name is Kelly Wong, and I'm a 4th grader in Miss Wong's class. My project is about the Amazon rainforest. One thing I learned is that the vegetation of the rainforest helps to sustain it. My mom helped me with my project. My favorite part of Reading Month was making my diorama.
Up next, we have 2 2nd grade students. So the 2nd and 3rd graders at Wilson, their rainforest project was to create and research a rainforest animal. So they wrote a little rainforest animal report, and then through lots of different materials, kids created a 3-dimensional representation of their animal.
My name is Sawyer Hansen. I am in 2nd grade. My project is a tarantula. One thing I learned about it is they breathe through something called book lungs. My dad helped me build it. My favorite part of Reading Month was making the puppets.
All right, accept.
Hi, my name is Ava, and I'm in 2nd grade. My project is a blue morpho butterfly. One thing that I learned is that only the males are blue. My family worked with me, and my favorite part of Reading Month was the puppet show.
And finally, our kindergarten and 1st grade students worked with their families to create a book report in a bag. So they chose a favorite book, and then they reported about their book through a book bag project.
My name is Winifred Bush. My book is Invisible Emmy. One thing I learned is that middle school is hard. My mom worked with me. My favorite part of reading month was the Heart Heroes Assembly thing.
Good job.
What do all the rainforest animals say when the jaguar finishes his shower? Nothing, because the jaguar is totally spotless.
Hi, I'm Lori Walling. I teach 4th and 5th grade out here at Wilson School, and I'm going to talk to you about Accelerated Reader. Wilson School loves accelerated reading, and we are extremely fortunate that Wilson's PAC group generously provides funding for this program each year. AR is simply a program where students read books and then take an online quiz to test their reading comprehension of what they have read. One way that we have integrated the Wilson Rainforest theme into AR is by hanging a rainforest vine outside each classroom. As classes earn points for successful AR reading, a class monkey climbs the vine. When a class's monkey reaches the top of the vine, the class is celebrated. And here's Spencer with a few impressive accelerated reading facts.
This year, Wilson students in grades 1st through 5th have earned 10,558 AR points. That is translated into over 17,318 successful comprehension quizzes passed. At Wilson School, we strongly believe that the more you read, the better you will become. At AR is a tool that encourages reading.
So as you can see, there are many big and exciting things that are happening here at Wilson this year as Did you get it?
Thank you, Wilson students. Bye, Heidi.
Anna, does that, when they said 17,000 comprehensive tests, does that mean that they have read 17,000 plus stories? Did I gather that right?
I'm not sure. I mean, usually when you take a test, yeah.
Okay.
There we go. A lot of books. That's great. Okay, Justin. All right, Justin's ready. And up next is the AMA ESD presentation by Mr. Justin Glusing. Nice to have you here. Thank you.
Test. Which mic am I on? Test. Both work? Can I do this one? Hello? Hello?
There we
How
go.
about that one? Huh? This one? Can I take that one off? Oh, good. Sorry, thank you. My presentation will not be as exciting as the one before that. So, thank you. My name is Justin Glusing. I'm the superintendent for the AMA ESD. I know you and had the opportunity to stop in August and introduce myself, but I know there are some new board members present, so appreciate you giving me this opportunity. Just an overview of some things I want to talk about here today. I'll go through the presentation quickly, but if there are questions along the way, please feel free to interrupt me and ask a question. Just some FYIs first about ISDs. They were created in 1962 by the legislature, and there are 56 of them in the state of Michigan. And you can see on the map there how they're sort of laid out across the state. ISDs are sometimes called RESAs or ESAs, or in the case of AMA, we are an ESD, an Educational Service District. But when you talk about ISDs, you're talking about all of those groups. And they come in all shapes and sizes. Just a quick comparison between AMA and Wayne RESA. Quite a bit different in many ways, similar in others. Program supports that we provide, or leadership from the AMA, as these populate on your screen, these sort of touch on the programs that we have a part in either supporting or leading in. I would point out that not all of these are utilized by each district. For example, business office functions and account and payroll. APS runs its own. We work with Hillman and Atlanta, for example, for some of those services in our smaller districts. So we have a different role sometimes in each of our locals. Special education is our largest footprint, and beneath any one of these areas, you can see sort of around special education, we have school psychologists, teacher consultants, physical therapists, OT, speech, social work. So many staff underneath each of these programs. We have about 85 total staff at the AMA. Growing our own, the educator shortage, I know that this is not something new to anyone. It's been real for many years. It's a space that I'm trying to lean in on and support our locals with. Almost immediately when I started in July, offered some informational sessions on alternative pathways for teaching at the AMA. We are leaning in a number of spaces with respect to grow your own funding that is available. Right now, if you were to go on the main job boards for educators, there's over 500 plus postings just for teachers across the state. Many of those postings are for multiple positions, so it's hard to really tabulate the number of vacancies that already are posted. Many keep postings active all year, simply saying open until filled, open until filled. It's very common phrasing on these postings. We know the shortage is not just for teachers. We know that paras, bus drivers, and now admin, even superintendents, are sometimes hard to find. I'm a licensed bus driver too. I did that in my former district, Crawford DeSable Schools in Grayling. I haven't had to use my license in quite a while, but Dean Transportation, who we work with, they keep trying to recruit me to come on board. So the state of Michigan has included over $500 million, so $500 million in grow your own funding is available in the state budget this year. So we've gone after some of that with, on behalf of the AMA and our local districts through our own application, but we're also a part of Talent Together. That's a consortium of around 48 of the 56 ISDs I mentioned in the first slide. These funds will help support efforts to transition perhaps paraprofessionals into a teaching role or other employees, including some of your long-term substitutes that might be interested in becoming teachers. This is really just the tip of the iceberg. We're waiting on the funding announcement. It was supposed to come weeks ago, but now we're hearing it's going to be May, which means it could be June. So we're really just waiting on the state for the results of those funds. These funds are driving change across education preparation providers. They have been, in my opinion, slow to change in terms of online programming, where we are here in our region. We're 2.5 plus hours to the nearest provider, that being SVSU. That's hard for us to get staff to commute that distance, for example. The cost of college, different things like that. So we're just now, in my opinion, starting to see movement by these providers to transition programming to an online format. So you're starting to see more of that. I'm certain among APS, in fact I know because I have hired some when I used to work for APS, we have many people in our area that do Western Governors, Grand Canyon, different universities like that, out of state, but have fully online programs. So we're shipping our money there when we could be keeping it in state. So I think the universities finally in Michigan are starting to see that and making some changes. I'm also working with Alpena Community College, trying to partner with them and NMU and CMU to broaden opportunities for teacher pathways, start at ACC, move on to either one of those universities. Again, we're working through some of the articulation agreements and other things to make that possible. A project that we've been working on all year, ADA playground equipment. On your screen right now, you can see this is a new playground equipment that was installed at our school, Pied Piper School, over on Wilson Street, just past Besser. You can see this is 4 different bays, we'll call them, and you'll see some adaptive playground equipment, as well as what we might call traditional playground equipment. These are meant to be inclusive spaces for our students at Piper, for both those with some physical impairments or disabilities, as well as students that might not need them. So I happened to be at actually one of APS's playgrounds this past summer, and there was a student there in a wheelchair with his family, and Lisa Thayer, your school nurse, and they were having some challenges in terms of utilizing some of the playground equipment. And so I went back to my office and said, I want to spend some money. So I talked to my Board of Education, and they've committed to 50% of the costs. The entire project is about a little over $200,000. And what it involves is installing playground equipment at each of our elementary campuses, so here at Wilson, all of the APS elementary schools, and Alcona, Hillman, and Atlanta. You see phase 1 is the outlying districts, the smaller districts, and phase 2 is for Alpena, and that's scheduled for 2024. That was purposeful, so in our grant applications, we've applied for and have received around $80,000+ so far in grants. Our last major donor we're hoping for is the Alpena Youth and Rec. Their grant cycle deadline for this coming year is May, and so we're hopeful to secure that. With that funding, that will we will achieve our number, and we'll be on schedule to install these pieces across Alpena Public Schools in 2024. Pied Piper, our school, we're taking some efforts to invest there and do some renovations. This began with a visit to High Point in Washtenaw ISD. They had an opportunity there where they essentially demolished their entire center-based building, keeping just the gym and the pool, and then rebuilt it from scratch. Now, we're not looking at anything like that, but what we wanted to look at was the purposeful choices they made for students that we service, that they service. And so keeping in mind their disabilities, some of those challenges that we face in working with those students. And so it was a great visit. We came back, met with my board, and we've estimated a budget of around $1.25 million that we plan to invest. We're still in the planning phase, and of course, as I know you can appreciate with your projects, that balancing the scope of work and the scope of need with what the budget can sustain is always a challenge. This will give you a visual of our building. The highlighted areas are those that we plan to touch. You can see our classrooms all along the top of your screen, and our transition space that's connected to our greenhouse here is another area of focus. The green area that says admin, that's really a secure vestibule. I know that APS has made a lot of work there, and we too are looking at many of those safety improvements at Pied Piper. Transitions, this is a program that we're actually trying to bring back. I was actually working with in APS at the time that AMA canceled the program originally, so I wasn't happy then, so bringing it back, but also because our locals have expressed a need for this, something that we want to support, working with our students with disabilities to help them transition into adult life. Work-based learning placements, different things like that. The young man on the picture there has worked at Cliff Anschutz and is now at Habitat Restore, for example. But we're definitely looking to expand our support, not just of our Piper students, but all across the AMA. Funding supports. So this gives a 10-year overview of the funding that we push out to the districts. This comes in part from our local special education millage. Would not be possible really without that millage. Obviously Alpena Public Schools will skew those numbers on the graph greatly, but again I put the enrollments in the upper left-hand corner there. APS as a district in terms of enrollment is more than twice the size of the others combined. If you were to stack those smaller bars next or on top of one another, they would balance out a little bit better. This gives you an overview of the last 5 years specific to APS. Please note that this does not include the Medicaid reimbursements. There was a news article that went out. You might have heard Phil Heimerl on the news on Friday talking about this. These numbers will differ slightly just because of the Medicaid reimbursements are not in the numbers on your screen currently. I can tell you this is a big deal. This is a space where there remains great inequity across the state. I was most recently with Core ISD over in Crawford County, and we didn't get funding supports, we got a bill because they do not have the local special education millage like we have. So it's something that we need to be grateful for among our community for sure. In the coming weeks, we're going to be pushing out our general fund budget. This will be something brought to you to hopefully support with a resolution. This budget doesn't change often beyond grants. You'll see a lot of big numbers for the good that are going away, but also expenses. And these are often because of grants. Grants come in, grants go out. One thing to point out specific to APS, you'll see CTE. For next year, it's a 0 on the general fund budget. Basically, there are many funds that flow through the ISD. Joyce is obviously on point for APS with gathering those grants. Those just come to us and we send them over to you. So we don't forecast anything as far as an income or an outgoing in the CTE space, but when Joyce gets a grant, it sort of comes to us and we route it right over to APS. Something we've been trying to do a better job of is telling our story for the AMA. We're a small ESD. We've integrated, or should say, updated our social media solution to an integrated solution, something with our website. It allows us to do a better job of pushing out into the social media space. You can see an image from a video that was a reel that was pushed out on our social media. We're tracking that data. You can see trends and things like that in that one screenshot. We're also trying to crowdsource it amongst our staff. So many of my staff are here at Wilson or out at Hillman or in Atlanta or Alcona. And so we know our staff become a part of your staff. And so we're trying to make sure that they tell not just our story, but our story. And so we do these thrill share challenges. Here's some samples. Our staff on the left of your screen are from Ella White. And the challenge was to post a picture in support of our locals. And so here are just some samples. But again, telling our story is about telling our story together. Another sample, this is just a good news sample. The bike on the left, you can see it's got a flat tire. The rims are a dingy yellow color. It was scratched up and dented. This had been donated to Pied Piper almost a year ago, and it sort of just sat there in disrepair. And this year, McDonald, you might know Dick, local businessman, Dick, a long time. He took it on as a project, and you can see the transformation he made with the bike. It's got a nice basket. It actually has a little horn on the front that he put on there. Many of our students that have disabilities struggle with a regular bike and need that support. And so this was a great intersection of our community partner schools. This is another great story, Amanda Frey. And I want to recognize my staff along the left-hand side. Each of them had a hand in helping this come to reality. You may have seen the article in the Alpena News or on social media. But Amanda is 25 years old. Her goal was to be able to feed herself. This was a goal of hers going back to the fall. And it set in motion a number of things by my staff on the left to make this a possibility. The pictures you see there are 2 homemade prototypes that her family sort of helped create. The one on the left, that spoon, first, she would put it in her mouth, scoop up the food, nest it in that cradle, and then spin it with her nose so that she could eat the food. The one on the right is actually a game where this spoon or device is hanging off. You can kind of see that pole or that arm that sticks out. the game actually spins and rotates, and so the idea is you're supposed to try to feed yourself. Well, the family adapted it. They taped it so it was static and wouldn't move, and she tried utilizing it. Neither was very effective, as you might imagine, but she has a great spirit and was determined to find a way. Well, again, this set things in motion. You can see Jamie McClintock here working with her. These two devices, the two pucks you see there, are pressure sensitive and they mount to her headrest. And so with one of the pucks, she can rotate the bowls in this device, and with the other, she can engage the spoon itself. It's called the magic spoon. And I'll just play the video. Oops, gotta go back. There we are. There we go. How do I get to switch it to my other screen? Hang on. Don't want to miss this. How do I get the other screen on, guys? Got to show the video. This is the drum roll moment. Yep. I should mention Amanda is from Alpena, so she's an Alpena student at Pied Piper. She's been there for a number of years. There we are. And this will give you an idea of her first use of the magic spoon. What you can't see is behind the camera was her family, many of our staff, crying because it was a tremendous moment for all of them. The news story that ran in the Alpena News, the next day Amanda showed up on the bus with the Alpena News in her lap as she got off the bus. And they partied all day at Pied Piper with Amanda. Thank you. That's what I had. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, or if you have anything later today or in the days ahead, please feel free to circle back through Dr. Rabideau. I'll be happy to answer anything that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Justin? Nope. Thank you. Okay, next up we have our first opportunity for any citizens or delegations who would like to address the board. Just come on up, yep.
All right, you're going to have to bear with me. I'm kind of nervous. I have 3 children in the public schools, 2 of which that go to Ella White. My youngest son, Lucas.
Can you just state your name for us?
Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
My youngest son, Lucas, is in kindergarten over at Ella White. He has exercise-induced asthma. About 3 weeks ago, he had his first asthma attack. The principal had called my husband and said Lucas had gotten on the bus and he had told his brother he didn't feel right. Well, lo and behold, he was having an asthma attack. He's got all the proper equipment at school. He is to get 2 puffs before recess, 15 minutes prior. So we ended up going to the emergency room that night because he was having a full-blown attack. Needless to find out that I did not know that his medication was not being logged in the office, and it was being given to him in the classroom. It was given to him by an aide that has no idea what she is doing. Fast forward 2 weeks later, he had another asthma attack, which brought us downstate to Saginaw, and he is now on a controlled inhaler. So all of his information, his doctor's note, his asthma plan, was no longer of good use. He had a good doctor's note and a brand new plan. Miss Black informed me that he was okay to go to school on Tuesday, knowing that he would not go out for recess. Well, on my way home from lunch, I had called to let her know that she did not have the asthma plan or the doctor's note. I said I would drop it off to let her know in case, they needed it, they had it. I walk into the office, and one of the girls up front tells me that he was sent down after 4 minutes of doing exercise. His cheeks were flushed, and he was huffing and puffing. So the girls in the front took it upon themselves to administer my son his medication. Everything had changed. His dosage, his asthma plan, everything. My concern now, she said that we were supposed to have a meeting, and the whole purpose of the meeting was to get everybody on the same page. In his doctor's note, he is to be sent home or emailed to me a log of what time, who did his inhaler. It's supposed to be logged Monday through Friday and then emailed to me every Friday. Along with his mask is supposed to come home. It's supposed to be washed. I went to go send him to school this morning. I have no log of any information of them giving my child medication. His mask was not sent home. My concern is this has been him doing it in the classroom. There is no log. I talked to the nurse. They don't log anything. So these kids are getting this medication, and who's doing it? They dropped the ball on me twice. Not only did they not do what they were supposed to, per doctor's orders, somebody that I don't even know, that knows nothing about asthma, gave my son a treatment. Now, whether he would have gotten the right treatment that Friday, would he have had an asthma attack or not, we don't know. But somebody gave him a treatment, one puff. He's 5 years old, but he knows what he's supposed to get. I was also told that I did not need to bring in a nebulizer machine. They had one. The nurse tells me, you're not supposed to share durable medical equipment. Until you guys have seen your child struggle for air and breathe, you guys will not know what it's like. I'm putting my trust into your school, your office, and you guys have let me down twice now. It's not acceptable. You guys have to figure something out, get a school nurse, because I will not lie there or sit there and watch my kids struggle for air again.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing nobody else coming forward, we do have a second opportunity later on. We will move along to other action items. First up will be the approval of consent agenda items. We have 6 various minutes that we had looked at, and so we will be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
Okay, we've got any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, thank you. Next up, Sanborn asbestos abatement bid. We heard about this at our workshop. So we have a motion to award the asbestos abatement bid for Sanborn School to Nova Environmental in the amount not to exceed $76,540.
I move to accept the bid for the asbestos abatement for Sanborn School by Nova Environmental Incorporated for the amount not to exceed $76,540.
Support. Okay. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none. Let's do a roll call on this one, please, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Member Fritz? Aye. Member Lawson?
Aye.
Member Parr?
Aye.
Member Hanson?
Aye.
Member Snow?
Aye.
Member MacArthur?
Aye.
Member Meinhardt?
Aye. Okay, thank you. Next up, change event 084, Thunder Bay Junior High water coolers. Motion to approve the water cooler work at Thunder Bay Junior High School to Johnson and Wood LLC in the amount not to exceed $11,272. Again, we heard this was presented on at our workshop.
So moved. Support.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, show of hands, please.
Okay.
Okay. That moved as well. Thank you. Next up, Human Resources, staff update about APS new hires, resignations, and retirements.
Good evening. This month, we have 6 new hires for professional staff. We had Frederick Lowe, special education teacher, Wilson Elementary School. Kelly Trombley, special education teacher, Sanborn Elementary School. For support staff, we have Julie Hoberling, bus attendant, Alpena Public Schools. Courtney Wergo, instructional assistant, Ella White Elementary. Rebecca Richards, instructional assistant, Lincoln Elementary School. And Danielle Dalt, office assistant, accounts payable, central office and CTE. For resignations, we have Deborah McKay, instructional assistant, Alpena High School. Bridget Neff, instructional assistant, Besser Elementary School. And Karen Grakowski, cafeteria helper, Alpena High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Hearing those, we need a motion to approve the hiring of the new professional staff after completion of proper certification, testing, and other HR requirements.
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion on this motion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, show of hands, please. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Lawson, gifts.
Array of gifts to the district. Donations received by Thunder Bay Junior High School for March is Reading Month student prizes, decorations, and supplies. So these are all, my understanding is, are all connected to this program. One from Turn the Page, $5 gift certificates to the bookstore valued at $25. HPC Credit Union, HBC totes, water bottles, Starbucks gift cards, Starburst, candy bags, MIO, water flavorings valued at $150. Alpena Alcona Area Credit Union, 15 winter hats, 50 reusable AAACU bags, pencils, fidget spinners valued at $150. Udell Event Rental, Scholastic books valued at $50. Weinkauf Plumbing and Heating, $100. Allegra Printing, Allegra Umbrella, valued at $20. Clem's Bait and Tackle, T-shirt and store, $20 gift card. Alpena Agency, $50. Glicks Alpena, 2 $10 Glicks gift cards. Aplex, 1 hour turf rental. Frank's Key and Lock Shop, keys for decoration valued at $10. The Dance Center, $25. Alpena Buick GMC, varied $10 gift cards for various businesses. Doug and Jean Kowalski donated materials and constructed 4 boxes valued at $150. Hoppy Cricket, and I looked at their website and there's a cricket on it, so I think I'm saying that right. Hoppy Cricket, 20-ounce tumbler valued at $30. 3 To Me balloons, a balloon arch valued at $100. And under a new item, Lori Stephan donated 2 library books to Lincoln Elementary valued at $28. There was a $100 donation received from Barbara and George Bristlow, Joyce Regal, David Regal, and Kim Regal Johnson in memory of Peter Rosnowski, a 1980 AHS graduate and athlete for the AHS athletics program. An anonymous individual donated $1,000 to the Besser Elementary School School Success Program for students in need, and the ACC Bookstore donated $380 worth of miscellaneous school supplies to the Alpena Early College Program. I would make the motion to accept these gifts listed above with gratitude and thank the donors in writing for these generous gifts.
Support. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of that motion, show of hands, please. Thank you. Okay, we are at the second opportunity for citizens and delegations to address the board. Okay, moving on, information and proposals. First up, letters and communications.
So we received a special commendation from Representative Cam Cavett for the Alpena High Wildcat Hockey. Special tribute, so I'll just read it so everyone knows. Let it be known that it is a pleasure to join with their families, the entire school, and all of Alpena in celebrating the achievements of the Alpena High School hockey team on its wonderful success over this past season. With the record of 24-3, the squad attained an impressive resume, which includes a BNC championship, a regional title, and most wins in the history of Wildcat hockey program. This group of disciplined student athletes has generated great pride throughout this part of our state. Much to the delight of their loyal fans, the Wildcats have also earned the respect of prep sports followers elsewhere in Michigan through their talent, teamwork, and determination. As opponents have found out all season long that this is a team that brings unity and a positive outlook to all levels of competition. In the face of challenge and pressure, this is a group of young people who maintain their focus on making their dreams come true and accepting nothing less than their best effort. Winning titles and compiling outstanding seasons is never a fluke. While anything can happen in a single game, all teams show their true abilities and dedication over a long season or a difficult tournament. What distinguishes the best, however, is usually the effort that appears in practice, far removed from the excitement of game day. We admire the efforts, team spirit, and preparation of these talented young people. In special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to congratulate the members and coaches of the Alpena Wildcat Hockey Program upon the occasion of an exceptional season. Signed, Cam Cavett, State Representative, the 106th District.
Thank you. Okay, up next, reports and information from the superintendent and staff. Superintendent update.
All right, the first big news is that we can announce the official last day of school. That is June 9th. It is a half day for students. Our waivers for the additional days that we used were approved by the state. I think it was the middle of last week. So we have that on the calendar here. The next item, just kind of continuing with our discussion about meeting formats. I just wanted to put it out there and open to discuss, but looking at the workshop format, and we kind of thought some new board members might not have experienced the previous format, and so just kind of continuing that conversation. The intent of the workshop format is to have an informal discussion with board members considering things that are coming up for action. So I feel that our board workshops are more formal than they need to be. You know, it's just because they don't include, they include a quorum. When we had the workshop committees across the week, you know, there were 3 members. It wasn't a quorum. It was a much more informal setting. That comes with, you know, positives and negatives, of course. It's typically during the day, so member participation and community participation becomes a challenge. But in that format, I would just put out that I think the conversations were more genuine, open, and, you know, in the intent of having discussions so that we can bring that information to the board. But we've also added the approval of the workshop agenda, which we didn't have in those processes. And then we added 2 opportunities for public comment, again, in those workshop meetings. So, you know, the question is, do we now have 2 official board board meetings during the month as opposed to the 1 regular? And we are required to have no less than 1. But just again, continuing that conversation about thoughts. And then just concerns about whether we're able to, have those open dialogues when it's got such a formal feel to it. And maybe it's not, but it seemed that we're having large audiences, the approval of the agenda, the going through the motions kind of restricts the conversations that can take place there. So just putting it out there for further consideration. As we talked about at the workshop last week, July we adopt the calendar for the upcoming school year. And so we need to start talking about what it looks like prior to it. Because last year we went through, I think it was 2 board meetings over 2 months where we kind of tweaked the schedule and then ultimately voted on it. So just putting it back out there to keep it in your minds, and then we'll be putting something in front of the board based on feedback and thoughts for your review in the May workshop, and then getting ready for July adoption of that calendar. I think we can just have a discussion. If you have any thoughts, you can share them now or share them with me in other ways. So.
Asking for thoughts now?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying about the formality issue. I think we probably could get over that by just agreeing, okay, we're going to have maybe, for example, last time I remember there were some things that popped up that weren't on the agenda. We could just have a new items or an open discussion, time for board members to know. This is when you can bring things, because we don't want anybody to feel restricted about bringing items to the board. But I think this, as far as board member attendance and participation, this has been superior. As far as, what's the word when you want everyone to know what's going on? My brain is
transparency.
Transparency, thank you, yes. Leave it to the guy with all the degrees and forget how to speak. But I really think that's been wonderful for the community. It's challenging, but I think that's our role, to be in the limelight a little bit and have people really get to see what's going on. That's absolutely in the spirit of the Open Meetings Act that the public gets to see these things. So I'd be very comfortable continuing this. I think it, going back to the other way, presents challenges, but that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I'm obviously new to this. This is the only format that I know. It's also the format that I prefer because we can be involved in the entire process. Now, I think to make a change to that might be a little premature because we've been bogged down with a lot of other things. We haven't really seen how this is going to work over a long period of time. I personally like to be involved in all of the different aspects so that we can have that open conversation. I think that the formality issue, perhaps we can overcome that with some simple changes, but I'm not afraid to ask questions and have open dialogue in front of people. I think it's fantastic. We should have some open dialogue in front of the community because we're all involved in this. So I prefer to keep it the way it is at this time.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't realize it wasn't supposed to be formal. So I'm okay with the way it's been handled.
Yeah, okay. And I do want to clarify, having a large audience is wonderful. That is the intent of the transparency. I was saying that I think, we get a little more careful and which again isn't a bad thing necessarily, but when there's a large audience watching, is the dialogue as free-flowing? And we've had a large audience for, they're not necessarily coming to commend us on our work and those sorts of things. So, these are my feelings. We've just been talking about it. Yeah, I agree. We haven't necessarily had a fair shake of the workshop, but it is, the intent is to have discussions, open and honest discussions, and work through it. And it's sloppy, it's this, that, and the other thing, and then we're ready to go to that action step at the regular meeting. So.
And I think maybe it helps too if we start the workshops and remind administrative staff that's there that, that they're involved too. It's not just us having our meeting that, and maybe, I don't know if there's a way to change the way we're sitting or the way so that we're not in the same same way we are right now, right? So we're more like a cohesive group to bring administration in, where it feels more like we're collaborating versus having a meeting, I guess, maybe.
Yep, because at one
What
point.
if we just moved the tables back how they were when we were doing just the committee meetings?
Yep.
Because I was going to those at one time and, have that time, because I felt like that was more of a inclusive atmosphere.
Yes,
I would-
and that's to the large audience. We got rid of that table set up in the middle of the room because we expected audience members,
Right.
which pushed you back to your formal, arrangement like this, which contributes to it. So,
To that feeling of formality,
yep.
yeah.
If we're in a circle, it makes it much more collaborative, conducive to conversations. So.
Yep. I think it'd be great to try to see what we can do to finagle different seats and remind everyone it is a workshop, and remind administration and everyone to just hop in, and maybe that makes it feel less formal too. I do love that we're all together. It actually makes this stuff a lot easier because everyone's already heard, and I think it's a great reminder for people that are coming to these board meetings. They think, well, we're just not learning information, but we've actually deliberated and had great conversations at the workshops too, so.
Does that mean I have to give up my spinning chair?
Yes,
No,
AJ, you're going to have to give up your spinning
You
chair.
can take it down to the table.
Drop it down to the next level?
Yeah.
And, I'm just throwing it out there. There's pluses and minuses, like I said. For me, it is wonderful to have you all at the workshop because I felt myself managing, 4 different conversations and things. It was just hard to say, okay, who heard us talk about this, who didn't? And then it just made an added stress to making sure that I wasn't saying something that, you all knew or you didn't know, and it comes as a surprise to others. So, all right.
Great. Well, next month we'll make sure we have a section on the workshop agenda just for general conversation, and that will help that we.
Just to add to that, for those of us that, with our work schedule, we can't be part of those daytime committees as often. And, although this is a very high-paying job, I certainly can't sneak away to do that. And this allows us to be involved in the entire process. So again, that's my thoughts.
Okay. Definitely hearing support to keep it the way it is, and we'll work on how we function inside the meeting itself.
Well, I think that bringing the workshop into the evening would have given the general public a better access into the transparency of the discussions that were going on. I thought that's what the whole purpose of making it in the evenings at 5:30 and bringing all those committees together. Because like you said, you were meeting with the finance committee and then you were meeting curriculum, and not everybody was in all those committees. So at least we're all hearing everything all at once.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Okay. Long-range facilities planning.
All right, so I did, we had another long-range facilities planning meeting last week, and we do have one coming on Friday at noon. This is administrative team meeting. So Anna has said she would be there, so I technically have 1 or 2 more spots available if you'd like to. You're able to? Okay, perfect. So this is just keeping that out in, so that you're aware and the community is aware. We've been meeting to look at long-term facilities and maintenance planning, and we've identified tens of millions of dollars of work that needs to be done across the district over the next, 0 to 20-some years. And when I say 20-some years, we're saying if we replaced a roof here at Wilson 2 years ago, we're looking at it's going to have to be replaced that many years down the road. And so we just kind of put everything out there, boilers, and everything we've done, and mapped it out, and now we're narrowing it down so that we know we're starting to put in year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and most importantly, dollar amounts associated to that work, because we'll be adopting next year's budget in June. You will be adopting it, and so we want to make sure that we're trying to limit the number of times we come to you and say, we need this done, and we didn't put it in the budget at the beginning. We can afford to do it. So we've got some items that we're putting into the budget or hope to, based off of this work, and they're large ticket items, so that at least it says we know we're going to do this, whatever it is from a facilities and maintenance standpoint. As you approve that budget, there will still be times when during the year things come up that we need to come back to the board and say, this needs to be done, or we've rethought, the life of something. And but just kind of, again, building that long-range plan so that we can start messaging that a roof is going to need to be replaced 20 years from now. And even though it seems like we just did it yesterday, it was 20 years ago, those kind of things.
And eventually even furniture dies.
Yeah. Yep.
Gets used or abused, or it just wears out. So there are a lot of movable things as well as the roofs and boilers and kitchen equipment and so on.
Yep, and I chuckle because that's quite a hot topic right now amongst the administrators, who I've asked to give me their top 5 wish list for their buildings. And I think furniture's on every single one. Furniture for the classrooms and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we hope to, again, map that out so that we have a better understanding of what our anticipated expenses are.
Okay, thank you. Chromebook purchase update.
So, when we talked last Monday, we put a number of around 260-some thousand in front of the board for Chromebook replacements. And the idea is every year our seniors take their devices with them, and then our incoming 6th graders receive the new device. So we have to just continually replenish it, and it has a 6 to 7 year life. We went back and looked at the numbers. Paul made some adjustments. So instead of the 260,000, the number of this cost this year is $165,165.25. With that, though, Title I grant has $32,644 already written into it for this purpose. And then the long-range tech budget was approved to have $222,862 set aside for Chromebook purchases. So the long-range tech is a building line item to be able to meet the needs of Chromebook purchases per year, and there's sufficient funding to cover this $165,000 purchase price. So there's an example of, we know we're going to be spending this money on devices in the long-term budget long-term tech budget. The board approves that as they approve the budget each year. So this purchase was already in the budget. So this is just an informational. As we went back and looked at the numbers, we have the corrected amount, but also know that it was in the budget and we have sufficient funds to cover it.
Okay. Good news, I guess.
Yep. Wilson, I don't know. Yeah, it was what last year they set the standard, and this year they have set the standard. What can you say? Amazing things going on at Wilson. You have the good news edition in your hands. A lot of great things going on across the district. The high school climate team coming to Lincoln Elementary to talk to students. But really, if we're going to jump to the most important one, well, not the most important, but Pauline kissed a pig. So, we heard all about March's Reading Month here. All the schools were doing March's Reading Month. Ms. Burnham set the expectation that if the students read, and 50,000 minutes reading, that she would kiss a pig. They blew that out of the water, and so she did. And just funny, so apparently she is very neat and particular about germs and all of this, so this was exceptionally stressful for her. When they did it, she pulled out a pack of bacon and said, okay, I'm going to kiss the pig, and the kids all screamed, no, no, no. Then she picked, as you see, the stuffed animal. I'll kiss the stuffed animal. Ultimately, she got to the pig, and I had an eyewitness there that said she had hand sanitizer and a sanitizer wipe and actually wiped the snout of the pig before she she kissed the pig. But the great news is the kids did an amazing job. She's a wonderful principal that knows what her kids love, and she's retiring, so a big loss for the district there. But
Yep, that's pretty good. Okay, thank you. Okay, next section, information and questions from board members. Oh, I did have one. This is DARE. Did we ever revisit DARE?
It's in progress. Any of you, I mean, they're working on it. There was a meeting coming up that might have passed at this point.
Yeah, so there was a board meeting. They think that they could get an officer to do the DARE program again, and the next step for us is to survey teachers and parents to see if that is of interest. It does last 16 weeks, I believe, so it's a big imprint on instructional time. And so if you want to get feedback from teachers and parents of probably our elementary school students to see if this is something that we'd like to bring back. So I want to get that data and then use that to help inform the board who does make those decisions.
Great, thank you.
Ooh, I've got a question. Apropos of the laptops and computer time questions, the argument is there to be made that some of our student behavior and learning problems are from spending inordinate amount of time, particularly during COVID, in front of computer screens, and all kinds of potential things, doing things they shouldn't be doing and whatnot. Do we have with this, Chromebook plan, do we have a plan now, now that we are seeing some of the results of these things, to maybe help us get closer to CDC guidelines on kids' screen time?
Yeah, no, I appreciated Eric sharing that, and I've got it on my board in my office to start going through that. Do we have anything you can share at this, any kind of standards or anything?
We don't have set standards as far as screen time, but it has been very clear that our kids are craving paper pencil activities, especially at the secondary level after COVID, in that hybrid format. We feel it's very important for kids to have access through our LMS to work, to their work easily, so they don't have to, so they always have like what's coming and assignments if they misplace something. But the feedback from our kids is very much that they want less time on the computers and more time with hands-on work. So our board responded to that at the secondary level and really thinking critically, like in our daily curriculum adoption. We do digital resources have their place for ease of instruction and also for different types of engagement. But we all feel very strongly that digital component is only one component, and we need kids physically interacting with books, physically interacting with manipulatives that support phonic and phonemic awareness acquisition. So it is something that, luckily we're able to talk about now that we don't have to have remote learning.
Thank you for that. So wheels are turning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Question with that, we on our iPhone, it gives us a screen time tracker for the week. It tells me I'm up 10% or down 10%. Is, just for data gathering to kind of give us an indication of where we're at in comparison, is there a component within the Chromebooks that we can actually track the amount of actual screen time so we can see what students at all age limits are actually using these for classroom and out of classroom? Yeah. That'd be a good, kind of a good pointer.
Kevin, Roberto, any?
I do not have an answer for that at this time.
Yeah. We'll take a look and see. Yeah, definitely.
With our elementary classrooms, we don't send our Chromebooks home, so we can if that's possible, once we have figured that out, we can very easily see what is screen time in the classroom. I feel like digital tools like Imagine Math, they do have usage data that we want them on a certain number of minutes. Our secondary students, they take them home. And so they could be using them for personal reasons outside of school, and to be able to gauge, how much a classroom or how much is
Anything else?
Robotics team didn't make it to the finals, but
They did great.
we were there. They did
Yep.
wonderful.
Yep.
And if I couldn't see Miss Marceau. I can see many of her staff members, but you're right behind the cat or whatever is sitting on Samantha's. So when I did, yes, Miss Marceau has set the standard as her whole staff has. I didn't mean to speak in third person or as if you weren't there. I couldn't see you.
I believe that's a panther.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the rainforest.
Well, I have a whole thing.
I don't know if it's a cat. Kind of a cat, large cat.
Staring at Samantha.
Dave?
Yeah.
You sent out Friday night your board update, and it mentioned something Lisa Hilberg is working on. Were you going to elaborate on that at next week's meeting or 2 weeks' meeting?
Yes, so not much more. I mean, I can share what I did. I don't have much more clarification. The meeting's being set up. She texted me today saying that it's in process. But ultimately, she is working on how she can help address student behaviors. And the niche area we're looking at is when we have students that everything we've tried isn't working, everything the parents and family have tried isn't working, and yet we don't have any teeth, basically, to get them the resources that they need. This is going to sound worse. When a child goes into the juvenile system, it's very easy for us because the court system can demand that they engage in this counseling or these services or those sorts of things. What's difficult is when we have students that have all but entered the juvenile system, and we're trying that last step to keep them out of it and provide the resources to the family and the student. That's what she's working on, where we can't order things, but what can we do working with Catholic Human Services, the court system, and any other resources in the community. What can we do to help those families as a last-ditch effort before they enter the juvenile system? And so we're working with law enforcement, court, the hospital, a whole plethora of community members and organizations.
I'm sorry, I thought of one more question. I, of course, missed the first one, and I don't know if you need any more participants, but I would very much like to be a fly on the wall, at least in the curriculum committee meetings. Can you tell us when the next one of those, has that been scheduled yet?
There are two mornings next week, Tuesday and Thursday, if I remember right.
From 8 till 11:30.
Tuesday, that's the first week of May?
Yeah, the second, May 2nd from 8 to 11, and then May 4th from 8:30 to 11:30.
At central office.
At Central.
Okay, 8 to 11 on Tuesday and 8:30 to 11:30 on Thursday, the 4th, at central office.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
And we've got just 2 members, right? So,
Just 2.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't need anybody to participate, but yeah, I would just come and
Yep.
just kind of.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, advanced planning, we've got a nice long list. It's the end of the school year, that kind of how it ends up looking. May 2nd, we have the high school and the junior high picnic pops concert. May 8th is our next workshop at the Central Boardroom. May 10th, the CTE Excellence Banquet at the AHS Auditorium. May 10th also is the Thunder Bay Junior High National Junior Honor Society induction. May 12th is the Alpena Early College graduation, which is, I think that was said, the commencement for the 7th cohort. It's hard to believe it's the 7th one already. May 13th, prom. May 15th is the AHS Senior Athletic Banquet. May 17th, AHS Baccalaureate. May 18th, AHS Senior Honors Night Virtual. May 22nd is our regular board meeting at the high school. May 23rd, Thunder Bay Junior High Choir Concert. May 25th, the high school choir concert. May 31st, ACES graduation at Art in the Loft. June 4th, class of 2023 graduation at Wildcat Stadium. And as we heard tonight, officially June 9th is the last day of school.
And with that, we will.
For the early college too, Eric has said he could possibly make it work. So if there's someone else that can come to early college, in what you're doing is you're handing out diplomas.
Okay.
No speaking.
Yep, this one tonight, May.
Yeah, okay,
May 12th.
all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now with that, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.